It was pretty visible that both sides, Israel and Iran, they want to avoid more severe consequences.
According to the Jerusalem Post, the attack in Isfahan was carried out with long-range missiles launched from aircraft, not drones or land-air missiles. An Iranian official told Reuters there is no plan for an immediate response. It is not clear who is behind the attack. An Iranian TV anchor downplayed the attack and quoted a military official in Isfahan.
He did confirm that there were some loud sounds that were heard in the east of the city of Isfahan, and this was related to the air defense system, as we told you and our viewers before, triggered by the presence of 3 small drones that were present in that area.
On local television, other reporters near the area showed how quiet and normal Isfahan looks. Middle East expert Avi Melamed told CBN News Iran seems to be minimizing the story on purpose. Yonah Bob, Jerusalem Post military correspondent, told CBN News the strike sends a clear message.
The message behind the strike from Israel was, Iran, you cannot do what you did last weekend. You attacked Israel directly. You attacked with 350 aerial threats, 170 drones, 120 ballistic missiles, 30 cruise missiles. That cannot happen again. If it does, you will suffer, and you will suffer large.
Bob also says the attack was calibrated to avoid a regional war and represents a crossroads to Israel and Iran.
This is a unique moment. There was a shadow war between Israel and Iran that we talk about in our book, Target Tehran, for a long time. The question now is, will we go back to that shadow war, or has the paradigm been crushed? And even though Israel isn't officially taking credit for what happened today, will there be additional direct exchanges between Iran and Israel? We will only know that going forward.
My channel is not presenting breaking news in real time. It's more analytic approach to events that happened in the past week or few days. I'm trying to give you bigger picture so that you better understand daily events, and also to be able to predict what next action by any side will result with. If you stay long enough with me, I will guide you through this video, and maybe you would better understand why the past 2 weeks we can call historical. In the past 2 weeks, we witnessed a big threat of regional war between Iran and Israel. But also we witnessed some good news and some bad news. If you stay with me long enough, I will show what is good and what was bad news. First, I will start with bad news. Bad news is that there was an attack, unprovoked attack on Iranian diplomatic representative office in Damascus, Syria. Also, bad news is that Iran responded militarily. But good news is that all this fuss didn't escalate, and apparently thanks to diplomacy. Diplomatic channels have been hidden from eyes of the public at the first glance, but we can see that after all, diplomacy is making some results. It was very difficult to calm down the tensions because it is difficult to respond in a measured manner by avoiding civilian casualties, which is highly commendable from both sides. And on the other hand, provocations always require proper answer. We have to admit that both countries have been under big pressure after action of another country. The pressure came from inside, from the citizens and military radicals which don't believe in diplomatic solution of the conflicts, and this is how it works. So once again we witness that United Nations Security Council is basically useless forum where big powers have a kind of lead, but in essence it's not any leadership, it's just power to stop the process, to prevent any positive change that would lead to long-lasting peace. For instance, if the United States didn't veto recognition of the Palestinian state, that would bring to two-state solution, which have been agreed in Oslo long time ago. It reveals that Biden administration actually was not sincere while speaking about Oslo Accords and the possibility of a two-state solution. On the other hand, Iranian response, I would say it's kind of historical, because this is first time that Iran directly responded by sending some weapons against Israeli airspace. It also became a historical event that several regional allies emerged. For instance, nobody expected that Jordan would participate in shutting down drones which were flying over towards Israel, and also active intelligence support from Saudi Arabia. But also it's a historical event which actually destroyed a myth of invincibility of Iron Dome and air defense systems in Israel, which subsequently means that the United States doesn't have almighty air defense, and various countries now are wondering, does it worth to purchase those expensive systems? We know that 300 plus projectiles, drones and rockets have been fired against Israel, and Iran spent, let's say, about 1-2 million worth of obsolete projectiles and drones, but it costs Israel between 1 and 1.3 billion US dollars to defend itself. And still, yeah, it was high rate of shut down drones and rockets, 99%, but still that 1% presented harsh reality, which says that there is no perfect air defense. We can only imagine what would happen if Iran didn't give prior announcement through diplomatic channels that they are going to launch those attacks. And can you imagine if air defense of United States and Israel were caught by surprise? And also, can you imagine if Iran mobilized its proxies like Hezbollah, which could easily send thousands of rockets to Israeli proper and overload Iron Dome? And then if Iran used hypersonic rockets and modern versions of drones, what would happen? Israel would suffer huge damage, not only in military bases, but also there will be a lot of civilian casualties. That's why I'm happy that no further escalation took place. Yeah, Israel responded just to save the face in front of international community by striking Isfahan, but according to reports from the ground, no severe damage was caused. Although Isfahan, it's famous because of nuclear facilities that Iran possess in vicinity. So why all this became historical and why it's so important? It is important because the power of military deterrence can guarantee some stability in the region. Yeah, unfortunately, this is not going to help much Palestinian civilians in Gaza, and we will see if Israeli government would actually listen to warnings from both Iran and United States and avoid attack on Rafah. That would be bloodshed and very, very negative event in entire history. So it was pretty obvious that both Iran and Israel want to avoid further escalation, and also United States and even Russia help them to understand that there would be no winner. Both countries would suffer huge damages and there would be no winner. It would only escalate further with God knows who else would jump in. In conclusion, I think it's good that from now on, Israel and Iran will at least respect each other, although they don't like each other, but at least they will respect each other in terms that they would avoid attacking directly. So the power of deterrence hopefully will work with help of superpowers. All disputes should be solved by diplomacy, because after all, every war ended up on the table signing an agreement. See you.